Hey folks, this is Lance with S&L Lavender Farm in Chattaroy, Washington, and we're going to be talking about how to protect your plants in the winter using frost cloth and cages. So we're a lavender farm in Chattaroy with a plant nursery, and the piece of property is about 20 acres, but 5 acres of it is for lavender. We currently have about 13 varieties of lavender, and we are in zone 6. However, about 2 to 3 weeks in the winter, we get into about a zone 5 issue. And so for small plants, they need to be protected. And the solution is going to be frost cloth and cages. So here in zone 6, we have a challenge with temperature and snowfall. So with regards to snowfall, we have snow crush. And so what we do is we take a 100-foot roll of fencing and we cut strips down through it. And then after that, we cut the strip in half and we do a series of bends. And so we have 2 pieces that are going to go down into the ground, and then each side's going to have the bends coming out so that it holds it left and right from tipping over. Here in our winters, our temperature can drop drastically. Typically, there's a couple of weeks that will get to -20. Last year, we were at -21. And in some cases, you also have to look at wind chill factor. And so the solution for this is DeWitt's Ultimate 2.5 ounce fabric. It helps with an additional 10 degrees warmer. Once we put the cages down and the frost cloth on, this is what it looks like. You have a cage over top of your plant. Here is the frost cloth, and once it's over it, you can keep it down with staples, or you can use rocks about this big and put it at your corners. Keep in mind during installation that there are some challenges. There is wind, it is cold, and it can become time consuming, especially when you are using the cages. For us, we used some cages in some rows, and then some of the rows we didn't. These were tests for us to see which way would be most advantageous. Let's take a look at the tests we did in the field. This one is 4-inch covered and 4-inch not covered. It's April 4th. It's almost noon. And what we're gonna do is, that's what we're looking at. And that is what the 4-inch uncovered looks like. And so what I'm gonna do is I've come in here and I uncovered this one. This is what I found, which is absolutely amazing. And you can already see down low the change in color as well, showing the new growth starting. In this test, we covered a 4-inch plant and we had a 1-gallon uncovered. This is the one where we had this variety here in a 1-gallon from one of the nurseries, and it was left uncovered. And then we got some 4-inch from a different nursery and they got covered. And if it's not noticeable, the 1 gallon died. Are cages necessary? As I said in the beginning, they're time consuming. So in this test, we ran cages versus no cages. This one had covers. It had 2 that were just the frost cloth, and then the back 3 had cages. So we're gonna open up each end. This is what we're looking at. This is what we find now that we've pulled that off. And also remember that when I planted these, I took the largest at the front and I put the smallest down there. And so when we come down here, we do see that this one is a little bit smaller, but it doesn't have any stress of the fabric making it grow sideways. And it's doing quite well, as you can see. As you can see here on the left, this plant was not stressed. However, the one without cages looks like a bonsai. And in some cases, the plants were damaged, even to the extent they lost limbs. Let's talk about the plant results. We bought the frost cloth to protect the plants, but to our surprise, they grew. Because the soil stayed warm underneath the frost cloth, the plants continued to grow until mid-December. And the inverse happened in the spring. Even though we took the cloth off in April, the weather was a little bit warm in March, the soil heated up, and the plants came out of dormancy. So ultimately, during the winter, we got 2.5 months of growth underneath the frost cloth. The other thing that we noticed about this was the plants stayed green the entire time. I have no idea what in the world is going on right there. Either that plant is just going, or there's a lot of weeds that are just mounded that thing up. I don't know. I haven't looked under it. We're all gonna figure this out right now. Okay. All right. So we can see that weeds do extremely well. All right, well, if we were in the weeds business, we'd be making a lot of money. Oh, I can see though. Look at there. All right, so we need to pull that. Okay, that's crazy. That's rocking and rolling. We're starting to pull the frost cloth off. After we pull it off, we've got some weeds. Sometimes you've got enough for a salad. These things happen. The rows kind of look like this. And then we start doing our weeding in and around them, and they start looking like this. As you can see here, the frost cloth works very well. So one of the takeaways is, before you put the cloth down in the winter, you really need to weed the area, or you're going to end up with a dinner salad. It's April 24th, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm back there starting to pull up a decent amount of that frost cloth. We had rolled this back and actually did so on those too. But the timing of these two, the days were, I think, in the 70s and the nights were in the 40s. Here, we slide that to 60 to 65 during the day and 33, 34 at night. And when it came out, it was lush and full, but clearly very sensitive, soft tissue all around it. And that nighttime, 3 days in a row, did this. So it can be a very fine line between when to pull, not to pull. So there's a couple of factors that play into ultimately taking the cloth off for good. One of them was the soil. Was it drying out? Was there still moisture or enough moisture in it? So periodically, every day, every other day, it depended on the overall temperature, I would actually test the soil with my finger and find out where that water level was at. And even 5 days into 65 degrees, under the weed block, the soil was still moist. So to protect the plants at night, I left it on. And I would monitor temperature and I would monitor the soil until I felt comfortable with both of them. And then I removed the cloth for good. Okay, so we are gonna start kicking this Grosso field open. Probably starting pretty aggressively tomorrow. And essentially what we'll do is we'll pull staples down that side of a row and then down that side of that row, and then roll the cloth this way and roll this cloth that way. Throw some rocks on it through the center aisle there and leave it out as long as I can. You know, if the wind comes through, it's going to wreak havoc. But essentially, if we get into a problematic weather, I would just have to roll that stuff back over and throw some staples down, and I'd be in business. All right, it's April 25th, and today is Thursday, and I got some help out here. Emily's out there, and today we're gonna get all this frost cloth off. My final thoughts: was it worth it? Yes, it absolutely was. With the frost cloth and cages, we were able to protect our plants, get an extra 2.5 months of growth, and most importantly, they're alive in a region that showed mass lavender devastation. If you're interested in purchasing plants, cages, and frost cloth, or any of our farm fresh, locally made products, call 509-342-8684 to make an appointment to come see us. From S&L Lavender Farm, thanks for watching. On Dilly Dilly.